What can we say instead of should? What can we say instead of should? We can say ought, not ought instead of should. Give me an example, please. Give me an example, please. I ought to call my dad because it's his birthday. When we borrow money, ought we to pay it back as soon as possible? When we borrow money, ought we to pay it back as soon as possible? Yes, when we borrow money, we ought to pay it back. Pay it back as soon as possible. What ought we to do before crossing the road? What ought we to do before crossing the road? We ought to look both ways before crossing the road. Do you think children ought to be allowed to go to bed whenever they want? Do you think children ought to be allowed to go to bed whenever they want? No, I don't think children ought to be allowed to go to bed whenever they want. Is the surface of this table rough? Is the surface of this table rough? No, the surface of this table, not this, this table isn't rough. It's smooth. When you travel by boat, do you prefer the sea to be rough? When you travel by boat, do you prefer the sea to be rough? No, when I travel. When I travel by boat. I don't prefer the sea to be rough. I prefer it. Not eat it. I prefer it. Not eat it. To be calm. Why? Because a rough sea makes me feel seasick. Seasick? No, seasick. If someone tells you that they're feeling rough, what do they mean? If someone tells you that they're feeling rough, what do they mean? If someone tells me that they're feeling rough, they mean they aren't feeling very well. Roughly how many people would you say there were in Spain? Roughly how many people would you say there were in Spain? I'd say there were roughly 50 million people in Spain. All right. Do you like rough weather? Yes, no? No. I don't like rough weather. I prefer calm weather. Which do you think is the roughest sport one can play? I think maybe rugby is the roughest sport one can play. It's okay, get it all out, it's fine, right? It's normal, yes. It's the pressure of the camera, okay? So, what do we usually mean by the word ground? By the word ground, we usually mean the surface of the land. The land. Are there any shops in this town built? Are there any shops in this town built? One more time. Are there any shops in this town built below the level of the ground? Are there any shops in this town built below the level of the ground? Yes, there are. Some shops built below. Sorry, I'm going to start again. Are there any shops in this town built below the level of the ground? Yes, there are. Some shops in this town built below the level of the ground. Where? In Gran Casa de Corte Inglés. Okay. When a table is not level, what must we do? When a table is not level, we must put something under one of its legs. Has this town got an underground railway? Yes, no. This town hasn't got an underground railway. What's on the ground floor of this building? There are some shops on the ground floor of this building. Where's the biggest football ground in this town? The biggest football ground in this town is Are the grounds of some famous old buildings in this country open to the public? Yes, the grounds of some famous old buildings in this country are open to the public. How can parents Sorry. How can parents start educating their children before they go to school? How can parents start educating their children before they go to school? Parents can start educating their children before they go to school by teaching them to read and write, etc. What do we mean by an educated person? What do we mean by an educated person? By an educated person, we mean somebody who has continued their studies to a high level. Okay. So this is new work. Okay, we're going to practice some new work. Okay. Are we ready? Come on, Paula, Carlos, let's begin. So repeat with me, everyone. Company.
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 Employ.
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 Employer.
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 Employee.
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 All right. Paula, can you give me some examples of companies? Give me some names. Do you know what a company is? Yes, you do. What is the name of the company of your phone?
Samsung.
Samsung. That is a company. Another one?
Apple.
Apple. There are so many companies. I mean,
Huawei.
Sony, Huawei. There Microsoft. All these are companies. Okay. Now, for example, we have companies employ people. Okay. These companies take people and they give them jobs. Employ is the verb. Okay. Now, employer is the noun, and the employer is the person who gives work to people, and the person who receives this work is the employee. So we have the employer. Who is my employer? Do you know his name? Saj. Very good. Excellent. Good memory. Okay. And can you tell me the names of some employees of this academy? For example, John, Mel, Bob,
Danny,
very good.
Mark,
Who's Mark?
Mark.
I didn't meet any Mark. Anyway, doesn't matter. So as you can see, Saj employs us to work at his company. His company is Britannia. Okay. Now, employ is a verb that we can also use, for example, as a synonym of use, like to employ a pen to write. I employ a knife to cut. Okay. All right. So it's exactly the same as in Spanish. Okay. It's just a little bit more formal. Okay. That's all. So, if you had your own company, would you employ someone simply because they were a friend? If you had your own company, would you employ someone simply because they were a friend? Yes, no? No?
No.
If I had my own company, I wouldn't employ someone simply because they were a friend. Okay. What do we employ to cut bread? What do we employ to cut bread? We employ a knife to cut bread. What do we call a person who employs somebody to work for them? What do we call a person who employs somebody to work for them? We call a person who employs somebody to work for them an employer. And what do we call the person who works for them? And what do we call the person who works for them? We call a person. Sorry, the person who works for them an employee. All right, repeat. Machine. Not machine. Machine. Not machine. No, it's machine. Much better. Machine. Accidentally. All right. Show me, can anybody point to a machine in this room?
A computer.
The camera is a machine as well. Okay.
The clock.
The clock? I don't know if you could call that a machine. Okay, yeah, you probably learned this in school. Okay, well, anyway, machine. Machines are, of course, machine is a noun. Machine is a sort of like a device with some mechanisms inside, okay? All right, and we have several examples: laptops, cameras, okay. Now, what is an accident? What would be an accident? What would be an accident? For example, if I hit the table and I fall, that would be an accident.
If a car atropellar
Runs over
it,
that's an accident, okay? So
it's event.
well, it depends, yes, of course, but
No,
that is more dark territory. We don't have to talk about assassinations or anything like that. So if I'm walking, I can accidentally hit my leg with the leg of the table. So it's accidentally, it's an accident. Accidentally is the adverb, accident is the noun, okay? Oh, it was an accident. For example, I accidentally hit you on the head with a pen when we were practicing the catch and throw. Okay, I accidentally hit you. Okay, I'm sorry for that. All right. Now, there are some machines that give us money. Do you know what they are called? No? Cash machines. Cash machines is where you put your card in and you take out the money. Well, first you push all the buttons. Okay. Now. Sorry? Yes, exactly. Okay. They also call them an ATM. This is especially used in the United States. Okay. Now, are there a lot of machines in a factory? Are there a lot of machines in a factory? Yes, there are.
Yes, there are.
A lot of machines in a factory. What do we use a cash machine for? What do we use a cash machine for? We use a cash machine for taking money out of the bank
quickly
and easily.